Okay, somebody's got some tough background going on. Not anymore.
So that was me.
Oh.
Sounds like you're cooking bacon.
Yeah, did you bring enough for everyone?
So can you hear it now?
Okay, so I'm so sorry. I don't see who this is. I don't know who me is on this.
Oh, sorry, it's Russ.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, Ben.
Morning.
Hey, Aaron Hake, how are you?
Hello, good morning. All good.
Good to see you.
Yep, thank you. Likewise.
Okay, it's 9:31. Are we ready to go? Okay, I'll call the Riverside County Transportation Commission meeting of Wednesday, February 10th, 2021 to order. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for participating in our remote meeting for the commission. We'll do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with public participation. Before we begin, I want to review a few guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Please silence your other communication devices such as your cell or desk phone, and this will ensure that we're not hearing any background or feedback causing interruption during the meeting. And after each agenda item, I will announce public comment. So for those of you on Zoom, if you'd like to make a public comment on the Zoom screen, please click on the raised hand button. And if you're using Zoom on your smartphone, tap your screen, look for the More option, and then raise hand button on the screen. And for those just calling in simply by phone line, you can dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. So can we have roll call, please?
Of course, good morning. District 1,
District 1 here.
District 2, District 2, District 3,
Here.
District 4, District 5,
5 is here.
Banning.
District 2 is here.
Thank you. City of Banning, Beaumont,
Here.
Blythe,
Here.
Calamasa,
Here.
Canyon Lake,
Good morning here.
Cathedral City,
Here.
Coachella, Corona,
Present.
Desert Hot Springs,
Here.
Eastville, Eastville, Hemet,
Present.
Indian Wells,
Present.
Indio,
Here.
Harupa Valley,
Here.
La Quinta,
Here.
Lake Elsinore,
Here.
Menifee,
Is here.
Moreno Valley, Moreno Valley, Marietta,
Here.
Norco,
Here.
Palm Desert,
Here.
Palm Springs,
Present.
Paris,
Here.
Rancho Mirage,
Here.
Riverside,
Here.
San Jacinto, San Jacinto,
I'm here. I'm sorry. I was having a hard time unmuting myself.
thank you. Temecula, Temecula, Wildemar,
Here.
Caltrans District 8.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll now go to the Pledge of Allegiance. Kathleen Fitzpatrick, will you please lead us?
Yes, Madam Chair. Please join me and salute our great flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, do we have any public comments for items not listed on the agenda?
Madam Chair, this is Arnold San Miguel at SCAG. Can I make a public comment?
Yes, please. Now, then, as long as we do, let me make this little comment. Under the Brown Act, the commission should not take action on or discuss matters raised during the public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. And members of the public may make public comments when recognized by the chair. Each individual speaker is limited to speak 3 continuous minutes or less. So, Mr. San Miguel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, commissioners. Just wanted to let everyone know that the SCAG Regional Council has approved the release of guidelines for SCAG's 2020-2021 Sustainable Communities Program, Smart Cities and Mobility Innovations. So this is a program that provides resources for projects that support the implementation of 3 Connect SoCal key connections, focusing on smart cities, job centers, GO zones, and shared mobility as a service to expand our mobility ecosystems in the region. So this is a technical assistance program, and it's designed to minimize public agency staff time commitment. And so for the most part, SCAG takes care of all the administrative contracting efforts. So really a great opportunity. Applications, the program guidelines and applications are available on the website. They're due by 5 p.m. on April 23rd. All SCAG member jurisdictions, cities, counties, council of governments are encouraged to apply. There will be 2 application webinars on March 8th and April 5th. And one-to-one coaching is also available for potential applicants. And SCAG staff will be asking the regional council to approve the funding recommendations at our July meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
I am not seeing any hands raised.
Okay, thank you very much. So I do want to remind everyone that even though we are in a COVID environment, and so that's changed our meeting guidelines, this is a Brown Act compliant meeting. So let's do our best to keep videos on when we can, even though I know we're in some tough situations sometimes as far as conducting these meetings and where we have to be located to do it. So we are going to move to number 5, which is public hearing. And I'll start with legal counsel to explain the nature and the scope of this hearing.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this item is to conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution of necessity. As part of the resolution of necessity that the board will consider adopting, the board will be asked to make the following findings: that the public interest and necessity require the proposed project, that the project is planned or located in a manner that will be most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury, that the real property to be acquired is necessary for the project, and that the offer of just compensation has been presented to the property owner. I want to stress that the hearing is not intended to establish the value of the property in question. The value will be determined either through subsequent settlement negotiations or through a court trial. And finally, the resolution of necessity must be approved by a 2/3 vote of the entire membership of the commission. In this case, that's by 23 votes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And at this time, I will open the public hearing and ask the clerk of the board for confirmation that she has proof of mailing of the notice of hearing.
Yes, I do have that.
Thank you. And that we all have received the written objections, protests, and requests to be heard from their owners or representatives.
Correct. We did receive one letter of objection from the Allen Matkins firm representing the property owner, a copy of which was distributed to commissioners yesterday. And we did also receive a letter from Allen Matkins stating that they would be present to speak today.
Great, thank you very much. And I'm sure everybody received that letter. I know I did. So we'll now move to Hector Casillas to give the staff report.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Hector Casillas, and I am RCTC's right-of-way manager. I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation for you today, and it looks like it's on the screen already. So today's staff is requesting the Commission to adopt a resolution of necessity for the State Route 7191 interchange project in Corona. There are 4 findings that, as Steve has mentioned, that the Commission must believe are satisfied before adopting that resolution of necessity. Next slide, please. So before we get to the 4 findings, I would like to review some guidance that the Commission has given staff in the past. Since it's been a while since we've had a resolution of necessity, we wanted to mention it here to make sure the Commission is aware of our practices. As with all cases in which the Commission exercises the power of eminent domain, the property interests under consideration today are required for a public purpose, in this case, a public highway project, and not for private purposes. The offers of just compensation that have been made were for the full appraised value of those interests, which are based on the highest and best use of the property. The Commission uses eminent domain only as a last resort, having attempted in good faith to negotiate settlements with each of the owners of these interests. And lastly, for staff to continue to attempt to negotiate settlements right up to and including during trial, if it should come to that. I'd like to note that staff has had an extensive experience in acquiring property and has fully implemented the guidance the Commission has set in its eminent domain actions for many years. This guidance was utilized for the State Route 91 Corridor Improvement Project, where over 100+ resolution of necessities were adopted. I'm happy to report now, years later, all but one of those cases have been settled outside of court. Next slide. Okay, attached is a map showing the 7191 interchange project, which is located just west of the city of Corona. The location of the parcel being considered today is shown with a yellow star. First, I would like to begin with some basic information about the project. The project will replace the existing single loop connector between the eastbound 91 and the northbound 71 with a new 2-lane direct connector ramp. The new direct connector is depicted in red in this exhibit. Second, the project will build a new separate eastbound auxiliary lane from Green River Road to improve access to the 7191 interchange. The new auxiliary lane is depicted in green in this exhibit. And lastly, the project will reduce congestion enhance travel reliability, improve traffic safety, and reduce pollutants and emissions. It will also enhance air quality and reduce energy consumption. Next slide. Okay. As I mentioned, the adoption of a resolution of necessity requires that the Commission make 4 findings. Those 4 findings are: 1, for the public interest and necessity require the proposed project. 2, the project is planned or located in a manner that will be most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury. 3, the real property to be acquired is necessary for the project. And 4, the offer of just compensation has been made to the property owner. Next slide. Okay. The parcel we are requesting a resolution of necessity for is owned by Green River Properties, LLC, and is located at 4225 Prado Road in the city of Corona. The property is approximately 12 acres in size and is improved with an industrial building that is leased to multiple tenants. The property interest required for the project consists of 2 easements: an easement for access, drainage, and utilities, and a smaller easement for a wall footing. All of the area required for the project is contained within the drive aisle and parking areas of the property. Next slide. An offer of just compensation has been made. It was originally presented on January 22nd, 2015, followed by an updated offer on August 8th of 2017. And the latest offer was made on March 18th of 2020. Next slide. Okay. This slide shows the number of contacts we have made with the owner and their legal counsel. You can see that significant effort was made to meet with them. There have been 4 in-person meetings, one of those during COVID-19, 1 video conference call, also during COVID-19, 6 mailings, 20 telephone calls, and 26 emails for a total of 27 contacts in an attempt to settle. The owner's legal representatives have not expressed concerns or questions about the design of the project, and therefore we believe in this case it is essentially a compensation issue. As always, we will continue to negotiate with the property owner to attempt to come to an amicable settlement. Next slide. Okay. This is an aerial view of the parcel we need to acquire for the project. This is a partial acquisition consisting of a drainage utility and access easement, as well as a wall footing easement. This exhibit shows the drainage utility and access easement running through the driveway and parking lot. And there's also that wall footing easement. These interests run along the back edge of the property. The drainage utility and access easement consists of 17,648 square feet. The property interest is necessary to allow Caltrans to access and inspect the retaining wall, drainage facilities, and the electrical facilities that will be installed along the freeway. The wall footing easement consists of 289 square feet, and the area is located within the yellow hatch circle. It's small and hard to see the detail in this exhibit, but we'll zoom into this area on the following slide. As I briefly mentioned, staff has been working to acquire the necessary right-of-way for the State Route 7191 project since 2015. The acquisitions have been intermittent because of funding constraints. When we began the right-of-way acquisitions in 2015, all phases of the project were not fully funded, but the Commission had enough funds to acquire the necessary right-of-way, and staff was successful in acquiring some of that right-of-way for the project back then. But due to continued funding constraints over the years, staff paused its efforts to move forward to complete the right-of-way. Staff kept in communication with the various properties that were made, and this is apparent in the updated offers that were made. In early 2020, the Commission was hopeful that grant funding or excess toll revenues could be used to fully fund the project. And indeed, that was the case, and the project is now fully funded, and construction of the project will proceed. I will summarize the extensive negotiations with the property owner. The negotiations have been going on since 2015 when the original offer was presented. Over the years, staff has been in communications with the property owner and taken into consideration their input on the restrictions the property interest may have on their property. And in 2017, after the revised offer of just compensation was made, staff worked with the property owner to move drainage utility to move the drainage, utility, and access easement to an area that was agreeable to them. And the latest offer of just compensation made in 2020 included those design changes per the owner's request. In the past few months, staff and its legal counsel have been working with the property owner's legal counsel in efforts to settle the acquisition. However, while we expect those negotiations to continue, staff is recommending moving forward and adopting a resolution of necessity to meet the current project schedule. The project schedule necessitates the completion of the Caltrans right-of-way certification on or before October 13th of 2021. And in order to meet that project schedule, the possession of the right-of-way is necessary prior to the October 2021 date to certify the right-of-way. Prior to COVID-19, it took approximately 5 months from the time a resolution of necessity was adopted to the time a court grants legal possession of the property. Next slide. Okay. This is the shape of the wall footing easement. If you recall from the previous slide, the wall footing easement is 289 square feet. The triangle is about 160 feet long, and its widest point is about 3.5 feet wide. The face of the retaining wall is very close, only about half a foot from the property line. The eastbound 91 to northbound 71 connector and the Green River Collector Road geometrics are designed per the Caltrans Highway Design Manual and meet standards for freeway exit and entrance design criteria. And based on the elevation of State Route 91 adjacent to Green River property, a retaining wall is required. The wall cannot be moved to the north to avoid a wall footing easement. Next slide. Okay. As part of the standard process for highway projects when a parcel requires a resolution of necessity, a combined district condemnation evaluation meeting and condemnation panel review meeting, formerly called the first and second level review, was held with commission staff, Caltrans staff, Overland Pacific and Cutler staff, which is our right-of-way consultant on this project, and the Parsons design team on January 13th of 2021. The purpose of this meeting is to allow a formal opportunity to review the design of the project and the required acquisitions, and to request any design changes. The property owner and their legal counsel were invited but did not attend. The property owner's legal counsel informed the commission's legal counsel they would not attend that meeting, but asked for another meeting focused on ongoing efforts to settle. Those conversations have been taking place, and we are working to work with the property owner in efforts to settle, but discussions have not been about the design. Next slide. Staff recommends the commission adopt resolution 21004 on the following findings. 1, the public interest and necessity require the proposed project. 2, the project is planned or located in a manner that will be most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury. 3, the real property to be acquired is necessary for the project. And 4, the offer of just compensation has been made to the property owner. Next slide. Before I conclude the presentation, I'd like to acknowledge that 4-page letter RCTC received yesterday from opposing counsel, Mr. Rick Fries with Alan Matkins. I'd like to respond to this letter briefly. The letter is primarily compensation issues. RCTC did submit an offer of just compensation to the property owner, which was not only prepared by a certified appraisal, but also reviewed by a separate appraiser following our normal procedures. This process ensures that the appraisal complies with the uniform standards of appraisal practices, or USPAP. In addition, RCTC also reimbursed the property owner $5,000 to prepare their own appraisal. The values from these appraisals are not all the same, which is why we continue to negotiate the price. In the letter, Mr. Rick Fries states that RCTC is still negotiating the language in the easement. The letter criticizes RCTC for being flexible in our easement language. However, we feel it's a proper way to conduct business, which meets the needs of all parties while still obtaining the rights to build the project. Once again, the issues raised by Mr. Rick Fries are compensation issues, which are not the subject of today's hearing. I'd like to mention that Parsons design team is here to answer any design questions. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Casillas, for the presentation and all the information. At this point, we're going to call I just want to remind everybody, this is a public hearing and it is open at this point, and we'll call on the owners and owners representatives who wish to be heard and that have already identified themselves with the clerk. And I just want to remind you, all the commissioners, to please wait until all comments are made for asking any questions.
Good morning, my name is Kelsey Mills and I represent the owners Green River Properties. I would just like to state that, again, Green River Properties is objecting to this resolution of necessity for all of the reasons that we have stated in the objection letter that you all received yesterday. Most notably, we are objecting to the approval because the easement in its appraisal and the resolution of necessity was overly broad. The RCTC staff recognize this and has been negotiating with Green River Properties as to the terms of the easement, which will narrow the scope of both the easement and the access to the property itself. And because of this negotiation, this will affect the offer and the appraisal directly. And so we would just request that the resolution of necessity not be approved today until the negotiations are finalized and we have an agreement with the RCTC.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there other speakers?
I'm not seeing anybody else with their hands up. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak of representing the property owners? I'm not seeing anybody.
Okay, thank you. Then are there any questions from the commissioners? Okay, I see none. Did you see any? No?
Oh,
Can't get my hand up.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see it up. Yes, I do now. Well, no, I don't, but I see two others in the queue, so three others in the queue. So we'll start with Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes, on this property, I wanted to confirm, is there going to be, there is no tenants that will be affected by this, correct?
Correct. There's no tenants. The interests are within the parking lot and drive aisle.
Well, somehow the tenants are thinking that they're going to be booted out, so that was my concern. So I just wanted to reconfirm in a public meeting that they are not being affected. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next hand, Raymond Gregory, please.
Thank you. And this may be something that's still being negotiated, but and it relates to the previous question. But the larger of the easements is a drainage and access easement. Will that necessitate that area cannot be used for tenant parking, or is that something that's still being worked out?
No, they will still be allowed to use it for their parking during construction. That's what we're trying to negotiate, those terms.
Right. So, but after it's finished, it's anticipated that would still be able to be used for parking.
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you. That was it.
Thank you. And Scott Vinton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to confirm what Mr. Gregory just brought up, are they not losing any parking spaces?
I believe our analysis showed that there was one or two parking spots that would be lost. But I would need to confirm that with our design team, maybe if they can answer that. Nicole, if you're there.
Hi, Hector. Yes, we're actually currently not showing loss of parking with the current design for the permanent condition.
Okay, no loss of parking. So that addresses the first question in the letter. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ted Hoffman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My question also, along with Gregory's and Vinton's, was regarding the loss of the property. And so just to be clear, the 17,648 square feet that you had for drainage, that is all going underground, and once it's completed, and the tenant or the property owners will not lose anything but 2 parking spots? Is that what I understood?
So our design team just confirmed that there's going to be no loss of parking. So parking will be the same as it is today. And in terms of the improvements, yeah, those are all primarily underground. So they will have the ability to still park and use all the surface rights that are there right now.
Now, as far as the wall, the 289 square foot, that will be a loss to the property owner, correct?
Yes, that would be, it's still considered an easement, but it is just a wall footing easement. So they will still retain the underlying fee ownership to that area.
Okay, yeah, all right. And then the only other part on that drainage is that RCTC will have the ability to allow for inspection of the drainage system along with Caltrans and the appropriate agencies then?
Correct. The intention is to convey this interest to Caltrans during the project closeout.
Okay, and then the drainage system we're going to put in there, that would be also available or used by the owner of the property. Is that not correct? Would they have access to that?
Yes. So they will always retain the surface rights. Nicole, can you address that a little better? Yeah, I can. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so let me just clarify. So there's an existing drainage system there today. So the water from Green River Properties in that area is draining through the Caltrans system. So there's a collection device. It's entering the Caltrans system. And with the construction of the new retaining wall, we're impacting that existing system. So we have to reconstruct it. So we're basically reconstructing and upgrading to current standards the inlets that are currently located on their property.
Okay, so the property owner will not lose access, or this actually improves their drainage system on their property.
Correct.
Okay. And then finally, I guess it's Hector, this has to be all done by October of this year?
Yes, we would need to have the possession of the right-of-way before the October date so we can prepare the right-of-way certification for Caltrans review and approval.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Speak.
Thank you very much. I think Commissioner Hoffman asked all the questions I was going to ask. I think staff did a great job of presenting exactly what the impacts were going to be, and I certainly appreciated that. And I have every faith that RCTC staff and the property owner will come to an agreement. But I certainly don't want to see this project slowed down in any way.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who has questions at this time? Okay, and Wes, is that your hand back up or is that? And yeah,
we're playing raise hand, raise lower.
Well, good job on that.
Speak again.
Okay.
We have Commissioner Reed with a question.
Commissioner Reed.
Would a motion to adopt the staff recommendation be in order, Madam Chairman?
Uh-oh, Jan's on mute.
We're still in a public hearing. I think we have to wait to close that public hearing to entertain that motion, but you'll be the first person I call on, Commissioner Reed.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll refer to the Supervisor Spiegel if she would like to make the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have all questions. So we'll call on any other persons who wish to be heard, request, and please provide your name, the property, and your interest in the property. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Okay, thank you. At this time, if we'd like, is there any, we'll close the public hearing at this time. And we have, is there any discussion? Ted Hoffman, please.
Thank you. I'm reading And I know, I don't think, if I correctly wrong on this, we're not discussing the amount of payment then, in that we're just discussing the resolution to continue. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner Hoffman. We are not discussing the valuation of the property, only the adoption of a resolution of necessity.
Okay, and I'm looking at number 2, and that's why I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page of the 4-page letter and the different offers. And that's what I make sure is that we're talking about the resolution to continue, not the payment. And that's all thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Now I saw Supervisor Spiegel's hand go up and then down.
We're playing that game too. No, I just want to be part of the motion, so that was all. When you're ready.
Okay, well, I see no other questions or discussion, so I think we can entertain a motion at this time.
Dana, thank you for heeding. Definitely it is something we've been fighting for a long time, and I appreciate every single one of you for allowing this project to move forward. And with that, I heartily give a strong recommendation. We approve the staff recommendations.
Indian Wells seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
District 1,
District 1, yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5, District 5.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. City of Banning, Beaumont,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Calamasa,
Yes.
Canyon Lake,
Yes.
Cathedral City,
Yes.
Coachella, Corona,
Aye.
Desert Hot Springs,
Yes.
Eastvale, Hemet,
Yes.
Indian Wells,
Yes.
Indio,
Aye.
Harupa Valley,
Yes.
La Quinta,
Yes.
Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
Menifee,
Yes.
Moreno Valley, Marietta,
Yes.
Norco,
Yes.
Palm Desert,
Yes.
Palm Springs,
Aye.
Paris,
Yes.
Rancho Mirage,
Yes.
Riverside,
Yes.
San Jacinto,
Yes.
Temecula,
Yes.
Wildemar,
Yes.
we do have 29 affirmative votes. The item passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, we'll now move to additions and revisions, and I don't believe there are any. Am I accurate?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll move to consent calendar. Is there anyone wishes to speak on the consent calendar before we take a vote? Okay, I'll entertain a motion, and please remember to give your name. If
Move
you,
to approve, Bergson.
Second.
Jacinto, second.
well, I heard many. I hope you have that.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
District 1, District 1, District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
Banning, Beaumont,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Calamasa,
Yes.
Canyon Lake,
Aye.
Cathedral City,
Yes.
Corona,
Aye.
Desert Hot Springs,
Yes.
Hemet,
Yes.
Indian Wells,
Yes.
Indio,
Aye.
Harupa Valley,
Yes.
La Quinta,
Yes.
Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
Menifee,
Yes.
Moreno Valley, Marietta,
Yes.
Norco,
Yes.
Palm Desert,
Oops.
Palm Springs,
Aye.
Paris,
Yes.
Rancho Mirage,
Yes.
Riverside,
Madam Clerk, I will abstain as I was not part of the commission during that time.
San Jacinto,
Yes.
Temecula,
Yes.
and Wildemar.
Yes.
District 1 is a yes.
Thank you. Consent calendar passes.
Great, thank you. So we'll now move to agenda item number 8, and Matt Wallace will present, please.
Good morning, Chair Harnick and commission members. Slide presentation, there it is. The revisions to RCTC's procurement policy manual are being presented in light of the recent implementation and management services agreement between RCTC and the Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority. The next slide provides a background of RCTC's procurement history. Next slide, please. RCTC's initial procurement policy manual, or PPM, was adopted in April 2007 in response to a Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, review. Subsequently, in 2008, RCTC adopted a comprehensive PPM and established a centralized procurement function in 2008, which is responsible for the purchase of all goods and services in accordance with the RCTC PPM. The procurement department currently consists of 3 budgeted staff. Since 2012, RCTC has used Planet Bids to provide online vendor and bid management support services. Through the use of Planet Bids, RCTC has realized efficiency gains such as vendor registration and profile management, greater outreach to vendors, bid document distribution, customer email notification, and secure e-bidding. Planet Bids is also used by other governmental agencies in Southern California, which allows for bidding collaboration. RCTC has adopted several revisions to update the PPM to comply with federal and state regulations as well as best practices. The PPM has successfully guided RCTC's procurements for design build, construction, preliminary engineering, and professional services, as well as supplies, equipment, and materials. Next slide, please. RCTC and the RCA entered into the Implementation and Management Services Agreement effective January 1st, 2021. Under the agreement, RCTC shall administer, coordinate, and supervise the activities of the RCA as set forth in the RCA Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement and shall act for RCA in accomplishing its purposes. Among the reasons stated by the RCA board for the management transition were management efficiencies and consolidation of administrative functions, as well as adding some of the professional practices of RCTC to the administration of RCA and the MSHCP. RCA's current procurement policies can be found in the RCA bylaws and in Ordinance 0802. Staff has identified procurement policies as an immediate policy that is necessary to conduct business pursuant to RCA's board mandate. Doing so will enable streamlined administration while maintaining accountability for the expenditure of public funds. In many ways, bringing the RCTC PPM to RCA will strengthen pre-existing RCA procurement policies. Next slide, please. The proposed RCTC RCA PPM is comprehensive and organized into 11 chapters. The first 2 cover the procurement process and general procurement matters. Chapters 3 through 7 cover specific procurement policies for competitive, non-competitive, and emergency procurements. And chapters 8 through 11 cover applicable laws and regulations, disposal of surplus personal property, and other procurement matters and payments. Specific changes related to RCTC include the following. Chapter 1 adds references and definitions for RCTC and RCA and revises sections within the chapter to make provisions applicable to both agencies, revises the time and materials contract section order to show general requirements first and federal requirements second. Chapter 2 increases the executive director's single signature authority aggregate contract limit from 1.5 million to 2 million per fiscal year. Changes the procurement officer designation from the chief financial officer to the deputy director of financial administration, and increases the capital projects delivery director and toll program director authority to execute change orders up to $250,000 and requires any change order over $250,000 to be approved by the executive director. Chapter 9 on disposal of surplus property removes references to real property, which will be addressed in an update to RCTC's current right-of-way policies manual. Other changes made throughout the manual include changing references to agencies as appropriate and specific RCA matters. Attachment 2 to the staff report provides a red line version of the PPM showing these changes for RCTC as well as RCA changes. Next slide, please. The PPM provides for the use and acceptance of electronic signatures in accordance with an adopted policy. Due to the impacts of COVID-19 on work environments, the RCTC executive director, in consultation with legal counsel, established an electronic signature policy. Subsequently, staff worked with legal counsel to develop a comprehensive electronic signature policy that allows the use of electronic signatures in lieu of manual signatures when permitted by law, and establishes when an electronic signature may replace a manual signature. The electronic signature use policy will allow the implementation of guidelines for the use and acceptance of electronic signatures used to conduct official business of RCTC and RCA. The use of electronic signature technology will allow the agencies to collect and preserve signatures on documents quickly, securely, and efficiently. Additionally, the policy will help reduce the waste of paper, increase the efficient use of public resources, and ensure the security and authenticity of electronic records, including electronic signatures. The proposed policy is included as attachment 4 to the staff report. Next slide, please. This item is for the Commission to approve the revised RCTC RCA PPM for the procurement and contracting activities undertaken by the agencies, adopt resolution number 21-001 related to the PPM, approve the electronic signature use policy, and adopt resolution number 21-002 related to the electronic signature use policy. Next slide, please. In order to finalize the revised PPM, staff has worked with legal counsel to ensure the updates are consistent with state and federal regulations and reflect best practices. The RCA board approved the revised PPM and adopted the electronic signature use policy at its February 1st board meeting. Therefore, with your approval today, the PPM and related resolution and ordinance are scheduled to be adopted at the March 1st RCA board meeting before becoming effective March 31st. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
I do have one.
Okay,
First district.
thank you.
You want me to go ahead?
Please.
I'm curious on the change orders. What was the previous amount of the change order authorization for the executive director?
The previous total was $100,000. Any change order over $100,000 required signature of the executive director and had been in place for quite some time.
Okay. And under the new proposal, it's $250,000?
$250,000, yes.
And does the executive director then have to go to the executive committee to advise of the change order, or no reporting?
Matt, can I answer here? So with respect to change orders, I have authority to execute change orders on projects within the budget approved by the commission. So if there's a change order, regardless of the amount, if it's within the budget approved by the commission, it doesn't need to come back to the commission. If it's a change order that exceeds a budgeted amount, it has to come to the full commission for approval. So the change we're making here is actually, the process right now is any change order under $100,000 within our budget approved by the commission. Anything under $100,000 can be approved by the project manager. Anything over $100,000 has to be approved by me. The change here is to create another tier. So up to 100,000, the project manager can approve it. Between 100,000 and 250,000, either the toll program director or the project delivery director can approve it. Over 250 is me, within budget authority.
So if the change order is for something that was not originally envisioned in the scope of the project, but decided later on that it needed to be included, say we were building a freeway section and we decided we wanted a contractor to go buy RCTC a bunch of vehicles, but nobody would ever have to report that to anybody that it was a requirement now.
So we would not issue a change order unrelated to the scope approved by the commission. And also, the majority of our projects have state and federal funding in it. So for example, a federal, a project that has federal funding in it, we need concurrence from both the state as well as the federal representatives. So to add something like you just talked about, that would not get approved by state or federal representatives either. To give you an example of probably the most recent change order I signed that was over $250,000 was related to the State Route 60 truck lane project. You may recall that the slopes on that project, they're very steep slopes, and we had problems with some of the slope being destabilized. So we issued a change order to make those slopes flatter and to change the drainage on them. That was a change order over $250,000 that I recently approved, but it was within the scope of the work for the project that was approved by the commission.
And I don't have a problem with this. I just think the executive committee has a role to play of being notified when there are change orders occurring. They don't have to approve it. They just should be notified, in my opinion. That's kind of the reason for having an executive committee, is to make sure everything is going as planned, but I understand where you're at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Jeffries, and now Supervisor Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ann, I have a question for you. Is it somewhat customary to set aside about a 10% contingency for a project, or does that percentage vary?
So 10% is pretty typical. Generally, smaller projects and more complex projects can have a higher contingency value just because the dollar amount of the project isn't very much. But generally, when we bring a construction contract to the commission for award, we include a 10% contingency. That is typically what's included. And that contingency is what is used to write change orders on the project.
Okay, and it's there for that very reason, because you can't predict every eventuality. So when a project comes before the commission, we approve the budget for the project, and most likely a 10% contingency to give project managers some wiggle room as to, because changes will happen, and then those changes need to be already approved in the budget.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And
Thank you.
if there is a change in scope that depletes the contingency, or we project it to complete the contingency, we come back to the commission for approval.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bergson.
Yes, I think my question may have been answered. It was all about contingency. That is, in essence, I just wanted to confirm that the dollars that the approvals are coming from is from this contingency that every contract has. And above and beyond that, it would come back to us. And I also agree with Supervisor Jeffries that the executive committee should at least be advised if there is some significant change that needs to happen to any project. I know on the 15 freeway, there were some delays and there were some storm drain basins added, which we all, I think, found out via email when there was the delay. But had we known about that a little sooner, we could have prepared for it and advised, the commission could have known sooner. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bergson. Did you want to respond to that, Ms. Mayor?
Well, certainly, we could if you would like. I would suggest that maybe we have the Western County Plans and Programs Committee. I mean, whichever committee you would like, but generally our projects funnel through that committee for review and approval prior to coming to the full commission. So we could also take it to that committee as well. If you'd like it to the executive committee, that's fine too. But I would just propose that as a possible alternative.
Thank you. And Supervisor Jeffries, or I'm sorry, Mr. Bergson, were you finished?
I'm finished. And it could go to either committee as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, thank you. And Supervisor Jeffries?
Yeah, I think it's important to say that I'm not looking to slow down the ability to adjust and adapt to changing issues on a project. I just simply feel that as elected officials, we should have somebody reporting to us. We just had a significant change order processed and done, just as an FYI. I don't know that there's anything wrong with being informed as an elected official as the cost of a project is going up. Not asking for approval because, as mentioned, it's already included in the greater scope of the budget. And my preference is the executive committee. That's what they're there for. It just needs to be an FYI to some particular group, one committee or the other.
Could I suggest that, similar to what we do with single signature reporting, we could come up with a regular reporting process that lists any change orders over a certain amount and describe what the project was, what the change was for, so that we've got a regular reporting practice for those change orders. Would that work?
It's fine with me, and it may be something we need to agendize later on, so we're not holding up the approvals today, so that we can have a discussion as to exactly what it is you want to do going forward.
Okay, can we have that as a future agenda item?
Sure.
Okay, that seems reasonable. Okay, Mr. Speak.
He doesn't want to.
I guess not. Mr. Speak, your hand is up. Did you wish to speak?
Oh, sorry. I have a bad connection, so I apologize. I just wanted to get a little bit of background on the driver for the $2 million signature authority line.
Sure. So in light of the recent implementation and management services agreement with RCA, we expect there will be a need for RCTC contracts or amendments under the single signature authority that would extend the scope of services to include RCA activities. Therefore, holding the $1.5 million limit would cut into existing RCTC use of the funds. Staff would not be recommending an increase to the single signature authority if RCTC did not assume the RCA management responsibilities. And again, as Ann mentioned, on a quarterly basis for transparency, staff prepares a single signature report for the commission, identifying all the contracts that she has entered into to keep the commission informed of single signature authority and status.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Speak? Sorry, I forgot he had a bad connection. So we're going to assume he did because his hand went down. Okay, thank you. So if I see no other hands in the queue, is there anyone else who would like to address the commission? Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Please remember to give your name.
Move to approve, Paris.
And a second, please.
Second from La Quinta.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
District 1?
District 1, yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
Beaumont?
Yes.
Blythe?
Yep. Yes.
Calamasa?
Yes.
Canyon Lake?
Aye.
Cathedral City,
Yes.
Corona. Corona. Desert Hot Springs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Hemet,
Yes.
Indian Wells,
Yes.
Indio,
Aye.
Coropa Valley,
Yes.
La Quinta,
Yes.
Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
Menifee,
Yes.
Marietta,
Yes.
Norco,
Yes.
Palm Desert,
Yes.
Palm Springs,
Aye.
Paris,
Yes.
Rancho Mirage,
Yes.
Riverside,
Yes.
San Jacinto,
Yes.
Temecula,
Yes.
Wildemar.
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes.
Thank you. We'll move to 9, which is items pulled from the consent calendar. There are none. We'll go to 10, which is commissioners and executive directors report. Is there anyone who would like to provide a report to the commission? Seeing and hearing nothing. Is there an executive director report, please?
No, ma'am, not today.
Wow. Okay. So is there anyone else? Wayman Furman. Mr. Furman, please.
Thank you, Ms. Harnick. I'm sorry, I was looking for my raise hand button there. I just wanted to bring up the fact that a lot of times that we pass these projects and they get underway, we move on to the next thing. And down in Mecca, there's a lot of good work going on with this ramp that's being built right now. And as the population grows and the tourist traffic increases, this ramp was well needed, and the construction is going great. It's moving fast, and I just wanted to commend the board and staff on good work on this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, see no one. Our next meeting is on Wednesday, March 10th, 2021, and we can bet we'll still be on Zoom. So I will adjourn this meeting at this time. Everyone, take care of yourselves, please.